Welcome to the Ladder Lab. We are the Ladder Lab ladies, a mom-daughter duo. Our mission is to empower the workforce to level up in their careers. We have proven frameworks which take crisis and turn them into opportunities. My name is Elsie Harrell.
And I'm Sheila Harrell, and today we are going to talk to you about dig in or get out.
That's a tough topic. It's when to know when to leave a job and how to navigate that. I've definitely seen this a lot. Getting over a hump that's a real thing. When you you have to make a decision of digging in to stay in a job or figuring out a way to get out and be strategic about it. So we'll be talking about that today, digging a little bit more. So I hear people talk about this hump, this moment when you know you need to make this decision, but should you get out of the boat and do it immediately, or should you stay a little bit longer? And no decision is wrong or right. You have to make it for you.
Well, you know, I love this concept. You said get out of the boat. There's a movie that you guys might have seen, and it's called The Boys in the Boat.
Oh, yeah.
And it's about this rowing team that is with a college team, and they have lost for decades. And they want to beat Harvard. And they get a new coach. And the coach goes to the team and he says, "Why are you here? Why are you in the boat?" And I love this question. Why are you here? If you don't know why you're in the boat, you really need to ask yourself, what is the purpose? Where am I contributing and what am I getting out of it? The answer he was looking for, most of the young men said, well, I'm here to beat Harvard. I'm here because I got a scholarship. I'm here because I want to be an athlete at the university. Finally, one young man said, I'm here because I want to be on a team who will win a championship. That's the reason they all should have been there. And I can remember when we started FedEx, we were unloading airplanes. We were putting boxes in our own cars to deliver packages, but I knew why I was there. I was there because the chairman showed me a vision, and that vision was to change the way the world did business. It wasn't a vision about, beating out the post office or beating UPS. It was to change the way the world did business. It was a bigger purpose, and I knew why I was there. So when things got tough and I didn't get a paycheck or, at a given time, or the management was terrible, or processes didn't work correctly, it didn't matter. I knew why I was there, and I dug in more. I think that's really important.
So people need to figure out why they're there. In that position, in that role at this company, whatever the situation may be, knowing why you're there and being able to articulate that is key.
If you don't understand why you're there and you're viewing it just as a job, we're here to talk about leveling up. Why would they even consider to level you up? I hear so many young people say, I haven't gotten a raise in so long, or, someone else is getting promoted over me. I think it's time to not only dig in the company, but dig into yourself and find out, why are you not getting that? What are you bringing to the table? What problem are you solving for your leadership team, your company, your customer? I think that is, key. I can tell you, as a previous officer of many divisions, the employees that added real value, that came in with ideas, that worked hard, that dug in the organization, they truly were the ones that were growing and progressing with the company, and we wanted, as leaders,
they were part of a team, because they weren't an individual. Not that and they were committed to the overall team goals. They were committed to the company. They're committed to the organization.
Well, and committed to the company meeting its goals. And one goal a company has is making money. I think society has really gotten off from that concept that a business is there to make money. And therefore, that business needs contributors who are going to add value to making money. I think that's really key. And we as employees must understand. I used to teach my employees about the cost of doing business. FedEx must make money to pay us our paychecks and to pay us more. And it also must give a valued service to the customer who will want to pay our paychecks. So one of the things that I really would instill into my employee group is what are we costing the company versus contributing to the goals of the company and the goals of our customers. It's really a key thought process to have in place as to whether you dig in or get out. And if you're not aligned with those goals, it's get out.
Well, and now stepping into that, I think, why don't you get a journal out, that journal that we've been working through the past few videos. Make sure you turn to a new page because I've got a lot of questions here which you're going to want to write down your answers to. Feel free to pause this at any moment because there's 10 questions which will help you decide whether to dig in or get out. So the first is is your current role allowing you to learn, grow, and by grow, that could be a title change, or financially increase. 2, does the company have a solid vision for the future growth? 3, does the mission align with your values and purpose? 4, are you bringing value to the company? 5, do you still enjoy collaborating with team members? 6, are you challenged by the types of discussions with team members concerning the work, and is there respect among those members? 7, do you have a good leader for a boss, and is the boss growing? Bad managers can run people out of jobs quickly. However, make sure you don't make an emotional decision here. So that's why we're asking all these questions, because to answer that question might mean if it's only a bad boss or a bad manager, then maybe you should stay in the job because maybe that's just for a short period of time, or we could figure out a way to get around that and still add value, as you're saying. Number 8, are projects getting implemented or drowning in a sea of constant meeting with no decision? 9, what is the senior team discussing in the workplace, the media, with top-down messaging? 10, are leaders in your company progressing? Are peers progressing? Okay, we want you to pause this video and make sure that you've answered all those questions before we continue on here. But if you'd answered yes to any of those, it's probably time to get out. Otherwise, if you feel like that things are pretty going, decently well, and as long as you answered, it's providing to your learning, your growth, or your financial growth, maybe it's time to stay. It's not worth jumping ship and jumping out of the boat too. You don't want to jump too quickly. You want to be strategic about it.
And especially in this marketplace, jumping too quickly could put you in a pool of what the labor statistics, the U.S. government labor statistics says today that there are 7.1 million people who are skilled but are in the job market. They say within the next 3 months there will be 9 million people who are skilled and in the job market looking for a job. So don't jump too quickly. And I want to add to this. I, at one point in my career, when I was not in management, I was a younger employee and I was frustrated and I was struggling with my boss, and my boss gave me an ultimatum. And I went home, I was newly married, and my wise husband said, well, he asked me these questions, first of all. He asked me, were my values aligned? Were my goals still being addressed at the workplace? Was the company progressing? It was obvious the company was progressing. Then did I want to give a bad manager the authority over my career? Because basically by leaving the company due to a bad manager meant that I was not willing to dig in and to work around that. I left that discussion with my husband with a clear strategy that I was going to stay. If I hadn't stayed, I wouldn't have led like 20 different departments, traveled the world, met people in the world, met kings and countries and presidents. I wouldn't have had the experiences that I've had in my career. So you're right. Be careful about jumping and complaining about a bad manager. Instead, look to opportunities to move forward. There's another one I want to embellish on. When you're sitting in meetings and you've been in those same meetings for a time and the discussion is it's not as challenging to you. The conversations you're having with your peers are not as rewarding. And you're contributing, they're contributing. It's not that they're doing anything wrong. That's a sign you're not growing. That's a sign to you that says maybe it's time you level up. Start looking at your contribution. Maybe that's the time you go to your boss and ask to take on a special project or an additional assignment that goes above and beyond what you're currently doing because they hired you to do that job. So you need to do that job. But they may have other opportunities that you can step into that will enable you for growth. I feel those are important things when you think about digging in.
I agree.
You know, and I think there's some great industries out there. I mentioned this in the last video, but Deloitte has finished this study, and the study is showing that management is going through a change process right now, and so are employees. So working through that, digging in and growing in those roles, possibly a good thing. Only you can decide that after you've answered the questions you so graciously provided.
Yes, and in future videos, we'll be talking about the exit plan. So thank you all for joining this video today, and it was a good discussion. And if you found this video to be helpful, give it a thumbs up. That helps us know that you like these types of videos. And leave a comment below and send it to someone that you care about today.
Well, and I would say digging in or getting out are both the right answer. It's the answer that is right for you, but make sure you go through those series of questions. Answer them honestly. Get your emotion out of it and truly dig in and answer them in a manner that is best for your career and where you want to progress, and also where you want to contribute. So next time we'll be digging into some future job opportunities as listed in the jobs report. But for now, I want you to subscribe and follow us so you can hear more about what's going to happen in the workplace due to all of the changes that we're seeing now.